Well, in other news now, the French police have reportedly launched an investigation into the disappearance of the Interpol president, Meng Hongwei. A Chinese government minister was reported missing after traveling to his native country last week. Now, the 64-year-old lives in Wion with his wife and children, who have not heard from him since he left for China on 29th of September. The Interpol chief was elected president of the Interpol, which helps global police forces cooperate on investigation in November 2016. He is also China's deputy minister of public security and has previously served as the head of the country's counter-terrorism office, drugs control commission and coast guard. His term as Interpol's chief is due to run until 2020. And joining us to talk a little bit more about the Interpol chief going missing is Elena, who joins us now from Paris. Elena, thanks very much for talking to us this evening. This, of course, is, what do we make of the fact that the Interpol chief is missing? What do we know? The fact that from September 29th, the family hasn't heard from him.
Well, as you say, Meng Hongwei was reported missing here in France on the 29th of September by his wife, who hasn't seen him since he boarded a plane from Lyon, where the international policing organisation is based, to visit relatives in China on the 29th. So the French police have now announced that they've launched an investigation. They believe that he did get on that plane and that he disappeared in China, but very little is known otherwise about his disappearance. It seems that it will be very difficult for French police to investigate if the disappearance did indeed take place in China, where it's difficult for international police forces to work. But the fact that they've made public his disappearance and this investigation shows obviously that they're looking for support from police forces around the world.
Right, but Elena, this would be rather unprecedented that the Interpol chief just goes missing in his own home country. And tell us a little bit about his background. We've already spoken about the fact that, he's been China's deputy minister for public security. He was previously served as the head of the country's counter-terrorism. What sort of a relationship does he have with his home country? And when did the police, the Interpol, actually realize, that this had gone all bad?
Well, precisely because of that background, when he was appointed head of Interpol back in November 2016, it was very controversial in many countries and with human rights groups like Amnesty International, who believed that China would use having a Chinese appointee at the head of Interpol as a way to pursue people that they want to arrest for political reasons around the world, as a way to pursue Chinese dissidents. In 2014, for example, China launched Interpol Red Notices, which are international arrest warrants, essentially, against more than 100 dissidents. Which it's believed they're pursuing for political reasons, and a number of other countries have criticised what they say has been the infiltration of Chinese security forces into their countries in order to pursue dissidents. So certainly his appointment was controversial to Interpol because many countries believed that he was too close to the Chinese government. He has, as you say, served in the past as Deputy Minister for Public Security in China, which meant that he was in charge of the secret police there. So he has been very close to the government. That doesn't mean, of course, that he couldn't have fallen foul of it. In China at the moment, there have recently been a number of senior officials who've disappeared with very little explanation, having seemingly fallen foul of the government. So the fact that he's had a number of prominent positions doesn't necessarily mean that he might somehow have ended up on the wrong side of the government, and that might be the explanation for his disappearance.
Right, Elena, thanks very much for sharing all those details with us, and we will keep coming back to you, and let's hope that we do hear about the Interpol chief soon.